So, it's been a long, long time since we did look-ats of these two games, and, well, I figured it wouldn't hurt to give them another shot and, play them in a different light.
Trope.
Starting with our first game of this doubleheader, Ivy the Kiwi, this time the Wii version.
Oh, okay, because I only seen us play the DS version once.
Which, I will admit, I don't remember if I said this or not about the possibility that this DS version was better, more, worthwhile playing, but after playing the Wii version, I was like, no, this version's better.
Oh, thank goodness.
I wanna cry.
And so, here's our story of this cute little birdie who was recently born. Her name is Ivy. But something that set her apart from all the other birds is the following. One was that, even though she had wings, she couldn't fly. The other was that those wings were a bright, fiery red.
Huh.
She's a freak!
No.
Oh.
Right after Ivy was born, she looked around her and discovered something awful. Seely?
My mama's not here. Where's my mama?
With the eggshells still stuck to her body, Ivy set off running, searching for her mother. And that's where we come in to help her see her quest through.
Alright.
So this entire game might as well just be a video game adaptation of the Devil Damn Dr. Seuss book.
Oh yeah, Are You My
I
Mom?
remember
Yeah,
that
you're right.
book.
Are You My Mother?
I mean, it may as well be.
Actually, no, that's not Dr. Seuss. That's P.D. Eastman.
Oh.
Oh yeah, by the way, since we're playing the Wii version, they added in this cute little flower to ask us if we want to, learn how to play the game. So, how about we do just that? So basically how Ivy the Kiwi works is that Ivy moves automatically. With the Wii Remote, you can actually make these little vines to help Ivy on her travels.
Whoa.
Ew, you're
You can,
saying
like,
this
actually
is
like
an
a paddle.
auto-scroller? It's just like, this is an auto-scroller? Ew.
Whoa, jeez.
Oh,
I mean, it's
This-
an auto-scroller in pretty much the same light that Kirby Canvas Curse is.
I will say, already, that looked like some pretty, high technical
Never mind.
stuff. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I had a question. I already had it answered.
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
okay. I'll say this.
Yeah, like with these vines,
Yeah.
you can actually pull off some really out there parkour moves with this cute little chick.
Watching that vine stretch is so satisfying.
Is there...
Yeah, though you can only stretch it for so far until it pops. And if you hold down the B button and do that, she can launch herself like a missile,
Okay.
which is
nice.
going to be mandatory for certain obstacles.
So I'm looking at here, and first off, is there any limit to how many vines can be drawn on a single stage?
Three at a time.
Okay, but other than that, there's no, you don't have a finite inventory of, oh, you've drawn 10 lines, that's it for this level.
I love how you were just redirecting her. Go that way.
Yeah.
Right.
Go that way. Yeah. Actually, yeah. What was I about to say? Crap. What was I about to say?
You mentioned the vines. You mentioned there are some obstacles that you need to, grab the vine and fling it like a
Oh,
slingshot.
yeah. Oh, I remember now. You basically you can pull out as many vines as you can. The only thing is that only 3 of them can be on the screen at once.
Okay.
Which I mean makes sense because I mean if you could pull out as many as you want, it would be very easy to
there you
trap the poor
go.
birdie. Like so.
Need that.
Aw.
Feathers.
There you are.
There.
So what are the
Aha.
points? What's the point of these feathers and coins that you're collecting?
The feathers are pretty much they're just your typical sort of collectible that you can find 10 of in each level, and if you collect them all, you get a little mark on the stage, and I mean. I forget if you actually get anything for getting every feather in the game, but I assume it's probably something more than just simple bragging rights. But if you do collect 10 in the stage, you do earn an extra life.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Come on.
Come on up, birdie. Hey.
Get
What?
Ow.
fine.
I guess she'll settle with being a number 2.
Yeah,
High scores
She
are
does. She
I'm
wants to
having
be.
way too much fun with watching her.
Yeah, she
You're
wants to
fine.
be humble, James.
High scores, I
Yeah.
assume, are pretty straightforward.
I mean, she was only just born just a few minutes ago.
So, I do like this 100. I was about to call it 100 wood. It does remind me a bit of the Winnie the Pooh arts, the same coloring
yeah, it
style a little
does.
bit.
Hello there.
Actually, speaking of which, your eyes are not fooling you. There is no graphical fuckery to be found. All the stuff you're seeing on screen, including all the lettering on the bottom, is intentional.
That's
All
what I
part of the
thought.
game design.
Oh, so this.
Because this whole game is pretty much structured kind of like a storybook.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I see.
Is it instant death if you touch something bad?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I
Ivy is a
thought.
one-hit point wonder.
That's
Yeah.
the question I was going to ask, but I decided not to because I saw the life comment.
It's okay. Well, yeah, fair. So what is the other main reason why what is the other like big like claim to fame for this game in particular, like design wise?
Well, the game in itself was developed by a little known studio called Probe, helmed by famed Sonic father Yuji Naka.
Huh.
Well, excuse
Ooh.
me, one of 3 famed Sega Sonic fathers.
Right.
The one that people like.
And yeah, the one that people like, just because he was pretty much responsible for why a good handful of the earlier Sonic games were, good.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the very least, well, okay, maybe good's more like great, but I digress. Basically, at some point, Sega had him, they pretty much allowed him to make his own independent studio called Probe, and I mean, for a little while, it was sort of like a small subsidiary for Sega until, well, I don't know exactly what happened, but eventually he just branched off from them entirely and just, started making games independently. Whenever he could, anyway. And I will say, Probe, as a game developer, they're not bad per se, but they're probably the textbook definition of making games that are either niche, obscure, or all of the above.
Well, I was to say, because I'm looking at this, and I think I mentioned this back when we did the DS game. It's like this
Whoa.
this
Hey, hey,
totally
hey, hey.
like this totally works as a concept, and on the Wii it does look really nice.
Well, I know something funny about the Wii version as well. It actually has multiplayer.
Really.
Really?
Which, honestly, I was actually tempted to ask if you guys wanted to help me out, but this was one of those things I decided to do on a whim, so I decided
Well,
against it.
is the multiplayer kind of like just a sense of like trying to think, is it like just you two like drawing sticks together for Ivy?
You and 3 other friends can draw sticks for Ivy, yes.
At the same time, well, yeah, I could see that working. We just have to use our mouse. I'm assuming you're using the mouse and stuff to like make.
Yeah,
that work.
I did set up Dolphin in a way so that it had to use mouse control, which, I mean,
Works.
kinda wish I did it sooner, to be perfectly honest.
I want to say like this. I could honestly, I could see this working on Steam or PC. Like,
Oh,
this,
absolutely. I mean, if,
I'm surprised
you
it's
know,
not ported to Steam
if
already.
they were willing to put the money into it, I would have totally
Jeez.
bought it. In fact, the other game we're going to be showing off, I honestly God wish we did get a port of on PC or heck, even on Switch.
Why is this making me nervous?
because it's
Yeah.
very like
Yeah, it's
finicky.
like I agree, James. It's like I don't.
Oh, he
Way to
did.
go, James! You murdered her. You
Failed.
failed.
But no,
Thus,
okay.
Ivy died.
What?
The end. Moving on.
I ain't no book I want to read.
That didn't help at all.
Did you guys hear my voice crack just now?
A little.
Yeah,
he was
I
so
did.
ugly that everyone died,
That didn't help at all.
and rose to be a phoenix. By the way, that's the spoiler. That's what she actually is.
Yeah, so moving on from Ivy the Kiwi, we're going to move on to the other ambitious project that Probe made, Rodea the Sky Soldier. Basically, Yuji Naka's method of revitalizing the age-old concept of flying, which he previously did with Nights into Dreams.
Right. Which, to get outright, to just, start right off the bat, we're going to tell you the story of how Rodea got robbed.
Oh, yeah. So, once upon a time, Probe made a little concept teaser trailer for Rodea the Sky Soldier, promising, basically a successor to Nights into Dreams, only in this time being, flying in 3D and all that stuff. I personally was looking very much forward to it. Of course, they needed a publisher to help get the game off the ground, hence they went to Kadokawa Games, and, all seemed fairly well at first, and the game was very much slated to be released on the Wii fairly late into its life cycle. Unfortunately, it came down to a point where Kadokawa insisted that the game be upgraded for newer hardware at the time.
The Wii U.
Ergo, the Wii U and the 3DS. Both of them. Of course, they decided to take that matter into their own hands and say, screw off, Probe, we'll make this ourselves, because technically we own the property now, I think.
And all the software is still there, and the games that are there. How hard can it be to port from one entirely different console to another software language?
Well, when you give that mission to a studio that's mostly known for publishing games more than developing them, shit's not always going to work out as well as you'd hope.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, basically, once the game actually did come out for the Wii U and 3DS, it really didn't set the world ablaze. In fact, a lot of people didn't really like it on the Wii U and 3DS. However, if there's one thing worth mentioning is that the Wii U version of the game, at least for initial first copies of the game, It also came packaged with the Wii version of Rodea the Sky Soldier, which is what we're showing you right now.
Thank
the
God.
definitive way to play Rodea the Sky Soldier, just because, I mean, look how fun this is to be able to fly as this robotic kid.
Well, again, it's also it was just optimized. It runs so much better. It just it's one of those things.
Yeah, just the controls in general just feel so much tighter than the more awkward mess that was the Wii U 3DS versions. Because, I mean, I guess to get right down to it, basically, Rodea the Sky Soldier here is only played with the Wii Remote. And you have to play with the Wii Remote pointing at it.
Yeah. So as like the I guess the big person we had on for nights and stuff, Jody, what are your current initial thoughts?
Well, I'll say that the graphics run pretty smoothly. These are interesting designs and color choices. But so far, I'm not like 100%, what's the word I'm looking for?
Convinced?
Not convinced, but not 100% sold on it yet. But I probably
Well,
have to
don't
see
worry.
more
Don't-
first.
Yeah, don't worry, Jordy. What we're watching right now is the boring tutorial of the game, which, unlike the last look at we tried, I decided to show off for a change, which, I mean, it is what it is. You know, it helps to get people familiarized with how Rodea controls, and I mean, again, I think he controls very nicely with the Wii Remote. Even if, like, say, if you don't want to go flying, you just want to move around like this, you do need to use the D-pad, or if you want to be one of those weirder rebels, you can actually point to a particular point of the ground, hold down the B button, and he'll automatically run in that direction. Don't ever do that. But,
Duly noted.
now the game starts getting fun because now we're introduced to the game's, well, main method of attack, the boost attack, which speeds things up tremendously.
Oh, thank goodness. So, okay. So you launch yourself up into the air, and then you can boost attack from things from point to point, like a homing attack to propel forward.
More or less, yeah. Like so. And again, like, with this, it really does help speed things along, and, I mean, just, it's partly what helps this game's fun factor overall.
And then how do you control yourself in the air when not, like, flinging yourself? Do you just kind of, like, glide from point to point after that point?
Well, basically how the game wing works is that first you have to point to a certain part of the terrain, and it has to be within a certain distance. You can't go like pointing all the way to that island over there and immediately fly over there. You do have a limit of that, unfortunately. So you have to be very careful in pointing, terrain that's in close proximity to you, and Rodea will fly as such. If you want to say fly in a different direction, all you'd have to do is point at another thing and click on the flight button to automatically target that terrain instead.
Okay. And then I guess then in terms of story, we are under siege from enemy. It kind of reminds me of like the ending to that. It kind of reminds me of the ending to that. What was that furry game we played on PS1?
Oh, Tail Concerto?
Yeah, it almost reminds me of the ending to Tail Concerto, except there were hundreds of those robots and not just one. And we saved the princess.
And as far as I remember, I don't know if this game has a giant Goliath like the Iron Giant, but I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, the plot of this game is followed. Basically, you are a robot named Rodea, and you are pretty much loyal to this princess here who has stolen the Key of Time from the evil Emperor of Naga. And, well, naturally, we're just trying to make sure that he doesn't get it.
Okay.
And, take over the entire Sky Kingdom of,
Jeez.
I forgot what the name of the Sky Kingdom is already. Oops.
That's Rodealand.
Oh, no, I remember now. It's Garuda. My bad.
Garuda.
I was
Oh.
just thinking like a distant galaxy, and what's that called? San Francisco.
The key of time will not work.
Well, why don't we just break it into multiple pieces and scatter them across the lands?
That'd be too much of a fetch quest.
Well, her plan is basically just to split for them both to take both halves, and
You know, I'm not some unfeeling robot. I have a heart like you. The
Aww.
heart that you gave me, princess. I won't do it.
It's a little ticking clock.
But you are not so alone, Rodea. And I promise you, we will save Garuda. Together.
Oh, wait, how long have we just had this instant transporting device? Wow, that was...
I think
He's
she
gone.
literally just used the key, that half the Key of Time to do it. It's like, yeah.
Oh.
Makes
Oops.
sense.
I mean, I understand that desperate times call for desperate measures, but that's a little.
Oh
traumatizing
shoot,
for-
dude!
Oh,
You
jeez.
just broke your arm.
Devil Day Hammer.
God!
Was that like a side effect, or...?
No, he just banged his hand real damn hard on the ground. I guess that broke it.
Dear
I mean-
God.
Just,
Yeah,
just
like-
Saying
imagine.
that, but holy crap.
I imagine him doing that. It's like, I should not have done that.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have like. Oh crap! I
You know,
still need
maybe I
that.
should have reconsidered those anger management sessions.
Now you want to know
Right.
something that's kind of funny? After all that happens, we fast forward about 1,000 years.
What?
Oh, man.
I was gonna say, suddenly we're in a desert. Now we're. Oh. Oh, we pulled a robo. We just kind of sat in place.
My voice.
Sort of.
Whoa! He stood up.
Hey, it looks like his arm's intact.
Now we're in Garuda, 1,000 years later. God damn, does it look pretty? Even
It
on-
does look
like,
pretty.
This is a late Wii game for the record. So,
Also, an interesting new arm we got there.
Sleepy.
yep, she made it. She made it herself.
I'm human. And you are.
Ion
What'd you
does
say
not
your name
sound
was?
like a human-
Ion or Eon?
Ion.
Ion.
Which
Ion.
does not
okay.
sound like a human name, but
I wonder if your memory was erased.
True.
You were buried in the desert after all.
Not gonna lie, I find it kind of jarring. Like whenever they change portraits, it's like.
My gut instinct.
I mean, it happens.
Hey, wait a
I
minute.
mean,
Don't you notice something about that guy's voice?
How does it feel?
What about?
It's
yeah,
it's more robotic now and monotone.
yeah.
He's
it's
a real
much more-
robot.
I mean, yeah, his heart's not really there at the moment.
My name is.
Oh, I hear it
see.
now.
Yeah, I see. So he's trying to
Yeah, you
remember like
see?
his whole. He is not yet a synth.
Pretty much. Though I will say later on in the game, once he starts getting his memories back, he does lose the filter and start sounding more like he did in the intro.
So now we get to see full-on control in our first real stage.
Yeah, thank goodness. Like, this is where the game really starts to become fun. So,
Whoa.
first and foremost, what we just picked up there is a power wing. Basically, think of it as like a second hit point, and it also extends the length that you... It basically extends your reach of how far you can fly.
Okay.
Okay.
Also just makes Rodea look like a total anime...
Saiyan power!
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I was about to say just like just the yellow. Oh, boy.
Phew. Just kidding. Lay it off, Slippy.
that is what that feels like, honestly. I mean,
Nice.
just again, just with it.
Hey! Ha!
But yeah, continue, James.
Ow! I had to do that. Ow! Yeah. Oh yeah. Trust me, you're gonna be doing this shit a lot.
Dang it!
If not for the fact that,
Fine.
if not only for getting all those little green thingies called gravitrons, but also for the occasional metal that you can find. And each level has quite a number of medals that you can collect.
Right. One thing I know that we were going to talk about, nice. One thing I know we were going to talk about a while ago, or at least before we started this video, looking at this and everything, is that, oh, I see the Gravitrons open doors, is that I was looking at this and I almost wonder if, like, of course I want Rodeo to get another shot, because clearly this has the potential to work, and on Switch it would also work phenomenally.
Oh, absolutely.
I also see it as, like, given how many... Not saying it doesn't deserve those chances, but... Oh, bonus stages.
Oh.
Not saying it doesn't deserve all the chances it's gotten, but... Like, Sonic has gotten so many different kinds of games and different play styles and different, like, elements and mechanics because they just wanted to keep trying new things. I
better or
honestly
worse.
would like to see them do something with, like, Knights or... Monkey Ball they've already done plenty of. Monkey Ball's one of those series where you end up being surprised just how many games there actually are in the series, but
Yeah, seriously.
like Knights, like I feel like I could see Knights working in a 3D environment, maybe with changing the dash mechanic, use the I forgot the drill attack, but like paralooping and stuff. I could see it working in 3D.
Yeah, me too, honestly.
I mean, again, just replace Rodea here with Knights, and you may as well already have got that.
True, true.
I mean, granted, you could also make the level of geometry a little more dreamlike, but that's beside the point.
I mean, it's looking pretty dreamlike already.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. I'm sure there are people that dream of like floating islands with windmills.
I can see that. It honestly, this aesthetic reminds me a lot of like the opening areas of Klonoa.
It really does feel like that, yeah. And actually, we'll actually meet up with a character that that honestly would not be out of place in the Klonoa game, most especially the first one.
Okay, we.
And honestly, it's probably one of my favorite characters just for his vocal delivery alone.
Oh boy.
Because, yeah, I mean, say whatever you will about this game voice, it's voice acting. I just like to think of it as bad, but in a fun sort of way.
Okay.
Honestly, I kind of see it in the same way that I see like the voice acting in, say, the Legends series, where it's like not amazing but fun in its own right.
I'm definitely getting Skyward Sword vibes from this.
Oh yeah, this looks like Skyloft a bit. Okay.
If things had gone according to plan, this game probably would have been released around the same time as Skyward Sword.
Yeah. So yeah, it was like again like towards the end of the Wii cycle.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, Rodea the Sky Soldier was released. Well, the entire game at large was released around 2013 or 2014, maybe.
Aha.
And well, again, they had to take into account there was like 3.
Yeah, it's
different versions of
2015.
the game. Oh, 2015. Okay, so, and I know for publishing they got NIS to do it. Basically, the same people that released the likes of Disguy and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, again, if there is one thing I will always, the Wii U game is, or any other version besides the Wii version is a piece of trash. But if there's one thing I will always give credit to the Wii U version in general, it's the fact that they actually had the gall. Well, okay, not so much the gall, but the actual guts to literally release the entirety of the base Wii game as a bonus. I can't think of too many other games that actually do that.
Like
Bayonetta
the closest thing I think of was when they released Bayonetta 1 and 2 on Wii U. So if you
that's
bought
what I just
one,
said.
if you bought one, you would get the other one at a discount.
I mean, yeah, essentially.
Oh,
Whoa.
Come
Don't
on.
worry, I can save myself from this.
Looking at the gameplay, it almost kind of reminds you of, not to say it's like an auto-scroller, but it's almost, part of it is like,
Okay.
part of it seems like it's almost like how to describe it? I've seen a game like this. Hear me out. It almost reminds you kind of like Yoshi
Also,
touching.
by the way, those item boxes don't totally look like they belong in Sonic.
They do.
Oh yeah, they do.
This reminds me a bit of like Yoshi Touch and Go in the sense of like your main movement of transportation is tapping on other areas and moving towards them from place to place, like hopping.
I can sort of see it.
Maybe it's just me, but I feel like some of those sound effects feel like that they were borrowed from Journey of Dreams.
I mean,
Well, that coin there sounded like from Galaxy when you get a star, when you get a Luma thingy, or I don't know.
One thing that I will say regarding the medal system in this game is that for the Wii version, it's mostly just for bragging rights. I know for the Wii U and 3DS version, you can use those medals to unlock additional content, namely, basically soundtrack and cutscenes and whatnot. Mostly just extra stuff.
Well, I mean, at least it gives them a purpose in those versions.
Yeah, and if I'm the Wii version in general just has the. I mean, aside from that thing. Oh, here we go.
Grandpa.
Is that your friend?
Anyway.
What the heck?
Actually, I was just thinking more so like he's like feebly punching out the robot.
Poor
Oh
guy.
God. Into its agent?
Burn.
I'll have you know that I've been cured of my case of the olds ages ago.
At precisely 999 years ago.
Every 1,000 years on this
Holy
yeah.
crap, he is old.
Chronos towers surround Garuda.
He sounds. You know what it is? I can't put my finger on it.
1,000 years ago,
He sounds like a freaking character from like Sam and Max Hit the Road, like the LucasArts game.
I could
Kind
sorta
of.
hear it.
why you're here too.
Either
I don't
that
know
or-
why. I when I hear this guy's voice, I just think of Mega Man.
Invasion team.
Oh,
Which
Mega Man?
character, Mega Man?
I
Actually,
guess
you know what?
sort of Wily,
Actually, you know what?
but
Now
also.
that I hang on,
You think?
I was waiting for him to hear because
Oh,
I was
what
about to
bloody
say.
fucking timing! The evil overlord's plan springs into action right as they say that.
Oh crap! It's yeah, the 1,000 years crap thing.
Citizens of Garuda, I am the Emperor of the Naga Empire.
I feel like I've heard this voice before, but I can't put my finger on it. I want to say that's Patrick Seitz.
He hasn't ruled for 1,000
GR
years.
bro.
You know, let me look that up while you guys
Yeah,
watch
you,
it.
you do that. What I was about to say is like the old guy. It's like funny I mentioned Legends. He actually does sound like someone from Legends. I just can't place who.
Me neither.
That sound effect I know I've heard. But anyway, we got a lot of our enemy robots.
That's nothing in IMDb. Oh well.
Yeah,
Well,
This game is so fucking obscure that not even IMDb is willing to acknowledge it.
Well, let me see if
Yeah, I
can
was gonna say, like, behind the voice actors only lists two characters, Rodea and GK Bowles. It says in the English dubcast that he was voiced by his Japanese voice actor, but I don't know if that's true or if that's an error.
I think that
And
might
yeah,
be
just-
an error.
And yeah, just going up to what Jordan said, Eon is voiced by. You might find this amusing, James. She's voiced by the same She's voiced by the same person that voices Felicia in MVC3.
Oh, fancy that.
Okay, so what I ended up doing is I ended up looking on YouTube. I ended up looking up a finale video, mainly so I can watch the credits.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
So the credits, as I'm pulling up now.
Okay.
Oh, that's a sad ending. First off, no, it's not a sad ending. You'll see. So first off, I'm
Someday,
looking at-
whenever I beat this game.
okay, I need to find. Okay, show me the.
I'm digging this music.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
the
me
game's
too.
Great.
So while I look it up, any other last words? Like what? Like have you? Like what have been your main thoughts? Like how far have you got into the game and stuff?
I remember when I first played it all those years ago, I was able to get as far as, say, like, I want to say roughly the halfway point, because I think this game's only like 4 chapters or so long. But other than that, like, I did enjoy what I played, and I do think, like, comparing this to the, the Wii U and 3DS versions that were officially released, the mechanics just feel more in tune with itself, because I remember those other versions just made some really unnecessary changes that just made the entire thing slog more than it needed to. Like, I want to say, don't quote me on this, but I want to say that the Wii U and 3DS versions had a fucking experience system, and that's how the Gravitrons came to effect, basically to help improve your stats, like with your fly capabilities and your weapon, like how you can handle weapons. Because yes, you can actually acquire weapons in this game, though. For the Wii version, I think once you get them, they're basically a short-term power-up.
Mm-hmm.
Just,
Okay.
Again, it just feels like one of those cases where they were trying to make it more ambitious for all the wrong reasons.
Right. Also, yeah, darn. Even in the credits for the game, like it only shows the Japanese voice actors in the credits.
Wow.
No one wants to be associated with a Rodea.
That's what I'm saying. It'll show the translation stat, but it won't show who voiced the translations. But
That is a shame. But I mean, it is what it is, and it really does suck too, because again, with the Wii version of the Rodea the Sky Soldier, the only way you're going to be able to play this game is by either hopefully finding a new sealed in copy of the first release of Rodea the Sky Soldier, or the more comfortable solution, emulation.
right, and again, if it hasn't already been made clear, the main reason why we do this is because the Wii U version was not optimized, had very poor like frame rates, and like on 3DS, they both had like weird control schemes. Like it wasn't meant to be designed that way.
Yeah, and even Naka himself, I remember this clearly, that in a Twitter post that he made right around the game's launch, while he was promoting the Wii U version of the game, he only really did so he could say, please get it so you can play the Wii version. That's the game you should play.
Damn.
Yeah, he was not happy at all when Kodaka was meddling.
Man, I was curious about this game too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, yeah, and again, since unfortunately the thing has kind of died with the Wii U since then, here's hoping we get something, especially since Nice has been like remember when like out of nowhere Nice like produced that like La Milana like bundle and stuff out of nowhere. I'm hoping that maybe they'll look into like doing something for Rodea or something else. Like I hope they'll look into something for the Switch.
Truth be told, if they went out of their way to freaking bring back the PSP exclusive Pretty series and put that on Switch, anything's possible at this point.
Let's just make sure they bring back the right version.
Yes, please. For the love of God, make Mr. Naka happy. But on that note, folks, till next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna cook some chicken.